here we are in New Zealand.
Now, here is a very rare specimen of species that is native to these New Zealand rainforests. Now, you'll see here, these seeds on the underside of the leaf are actually very special because only 1 in every 100 of these will germinate. So I must be very careful with this to not damage it. Now, what I'm actually looking for here in New Zealand is a very rare type of mice, the RGB New Zealand mouse. And I think I might see one right over there. We have here an excellent variety. Now, before we look at it, we must be very careful not to disturb its habitat. Now, this here is a mouse in its very early stages. They can live up to 12 years, but this particular one has just entered into its Logitech stage. Now this mouse has not quite developed its distinctive RGB colouring. Therefore we will put it back, go on to find a slightly older mouse. Now what we have sitting below me is the same species of mice, except slightly older, and it has turned into the shape that we'll see in the older mice, but has not quite developed the RGB colouring I talked about earlier. Now, this particular mouse, as you can see, is longer than the last one, and that comes with the age. Now, as we travel along, it seems to be that we're finding older and older mice, so I'd imagine that the next mouse shall be ever older. This particular mouse, it's hard to tell exactly what stage it is in yet. I think that this particular mouse is at the stage of DPI, a very rare species. Let's see. Put that back. As these mice grow older, they move down to these barren shores along the edge of the lakes, and it's here on the rocks like this one that they lay their eggs. The eggs will then hatch, and the young will travel into the bushes and up, like we saw the other. But here, I found a perfect example of an RGB mouse. Look. See, this one is obviously just about to lay its young in the back, but if we take it out very gently, we can see its distinctive RGB colouring that I talked about earlier, as you can see. Very interesting. And in fact, this one is probably in its final stages of life. If you come round here, you will see where it has laid its eggs into the side of this stump. These multitude of holes are drilled by their extraordinarily sharp teeth. Now, these young, in about 3 months' time, will then travel back into the bush. This one, however, will die within the next week. Therefore, I think this one, I might just take home with me. Now, you may be wondering, on this barren landscape, where these mice find their food. And I'll show you. They feed off this bloody sharp bush. Ow, that hurt. Now, this bush, as you can see, grows very, very small berries. The mice walk up the branches, pulling them down and devouring these berries. Now, in case you haven't heard, the Royal Navy is naming their newest frigate HMS Sir David Attenborough. That's me. Now, you may be wondering what happens to these RGB mice at the end of a lifespan. And here is a perfect example of a dead mouse.